Hey guys, I wanted to go through a few variations with you. For those of us with lower back pain, such as myself, we need a little assistance, especially when we are doing chaturangas and back bends, twists, shoulder stands, headstands. As you practice yoga, you just simply want to know what variations you can do to help support your personal practice. I want to show you first the variation for a chaturanga. Standing at the top of the mat, inhale, reach the arms up high. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Inhale, extend. And on the exhale, you can either choose to hop back, having your elbows at a 90-degree angle with them close to your ribs, or you can choose to walk back into your chaturanga. You can walk back into a full chaturanga, or you can get on your knees, making sure that those elbows are close to the ribs, and pull forward into the chaturanga. You have the option of having your toes curled underneath or having the tops of your feet flat onto the mat. Also making sure that your hands are directly underneath your shoulders. Now my elbows may look hyperextended to you, but they actually have a soft bend in them. I just have hypermobility in my arms. Continuing the chaturanga on your knees, you can roll up into the upward facing dog, still on your knees, or you can be up on your toes. Roll over the toes, hollow out the belly, and come up into a downward facing dog. Anytime that you find yourself on your hands, you want to make sure that you are not on the heel of your hand. The reason why is that we have a tunnel at the base of our hands that carries a bunch of nerves that goes into our hands, and we want to make sure that we don't pinch off that tunnel every time we come down onto our hands. Repeated use, putting weight right into that space, into that opening of the tunnel, can cause injury to the hand. You want to make sure that you're putting your weight into the base of your fingertips. So if you look at your fingers, then go to the base where the finger comes out of the hand. And that padding right there is where you actually want to put your weight, so that when you put your hand down, it's as if you can slide a sheet of paper underneath the heel of your hand. If you're experiencing any sort of pain in your hands, it's wise to come down onto your forearms. You can interlace your fingers, or you can have fists and just come down to the forearms. You can come into your chaturanga, and this is a version of a downward facing dog without being on your hands. Making sure in both postures you're still hollowing out the belly, which means wrapping the transverse abdominals up and into the center line of your belly. Now moving on to protecting your neck, one of the postures we practice is a shoulder stand, and so it's very important to understand how to protect your neck when you're up on a shoulder stand. Now, one of the variations I cue during a class is to not do the shoulder stand at all, but to practice what it feels like to get onto your shoulders. So coming down onto the back, make sure that the heels are close to the hips. Your back is flat on the ground, your shoulders are flat on the ground, and also placing the palms securely on the ground. Make sure that the knees are shoulder width apart and your ankles and feet are directly under your knees. Inhale and lift the hip bones up and towards the ceiling and back behind you. It's that feeling of lifting the hip bones up towards the ceiling, but then also going as far as trying to see if you can reach them up and towards the wall behind your head. Now you're not going to actually accomplish this, but it's that sensation of a lift. And then when you come down, make sure that you don't completely just come all the way down onto the mat. You're still holding about an inch above, keeping the intention there. And with each lift, you are inhaling 2, 3, 4, and exhaling 2, 3, 4. Repeating this motion. As you practice this, take note of the weight that you're putting into your shoulders. And if you wanted to increase resistance, you can also lift a leg one at a time. Now let's take note of the neck. As you practice this particular variation, you want to make sure that there is space underneath your neck and the mat on the floor. And how you do this is you lift the chin up and towards the ceiling, and you never tuck the chin under. You always have it lifted so that there's space created underneath the neck, as if a Matchbox car can come underneath that neck. There's that much space that you're trying to create. Now moving on to shoulder stand, you want to make sure again that you're protecting the neck. So when you come up onto the shoulders, if this is in your practice, then you continually think about how is that neck being protected and how am I able to get up on my shoulders without tucking my chin under. It is lifting of the chin continually, and if you feel any sort of pain whatsoever, immediately stop and roll down safely. Now, headstands are something that I would prefer you to practice with someone present with you that can understand the ins and outs of the safety of a headstand. But I thought I'd walk through with you some pointers in case you are experienced with headstands. I wanted to support you with some verbal cueing that could help strengthen your headstand and take the weight off of the head. Now, always you want to practice near a wall so that you can make sure that you're not necessarily trying to just get up into that headstand, but you are in that headstand with a wall supporting you, so you're not necessarily worrying about if I'm going to fall. It's always a great idea, especially if you're more in the intermediate level. If you're in the advanced, you're definitely not needing a wall, but you probably wouldn't need my cueing either. So starting with an intermediate level headstand, if you're a beginner, I would suggest to have someone with you to support you and walk you through it. Now, prepping you to begin this headstand, you want to make sure that your elbows are directly underneath your shoulders when you are in your inversion, when you are upside down. And so a good way to find out where your shoulders and your elbows align is to go ahead and place your arms in front of you, and then go ahead and grab each elbow. And so that is the distance that is going to be when you are in your inversion. And then when you open up those hands and interlace the fingers, your elbows stay there. That's the distance between the elbows that you'll need when you're in your inversion. Now, when you go wide and your elbows are wider than where your shoulders are, it puts a lot of strain on the shoulder and a lot of strain on your pecs, because when you do have the correct distance between the elbows when you're in your inversion, you're actually properly relying on the pec muscles to be able to engage, as well as the traps. Now, coming onto your elbows and your knees and interlacing your fingers, making sure that your elbows are only shoulder width apart. You can see that if you sink into your headstand, into your inversion, you're relying just on those shoulders to lift you up. Whereas if you hollow out the chest, if you hollow that out, you're actually engaging your pectoralis muscles, and you are also engaging the shoulder muscles properly. I would encourage you to practice this in and out motion, this engagement of the pectoralis muscles, and then the release. Now, that release is not where you want to be when you're in your inversion, but when you engage, that's exactly where you want to be. Release, understand that sensation, and then engage, understand that sensation. Now let's practice just coming up onto the toes and walking closer to our elbows to where it's as if we're going into our headstand, having our hips over our shoulders. And then you will lift your leg to come into that headstand. But for now, you want to see what that engagement is like. So coming back down on the knees, go ahead and practice that so you are able to get a little bit more weight over the shoulders for a minute, just to see, oh, okay, there's more weight there. What is that going to feel like? Coming back down, practicing your engagement and release. You can go ahead and come back onto the toes and practice the engagement and the release, just feeling that sensation. And if you feel like you are ready, if you have someone that's there to support you, or if you have a wall to support you, and engaging those shoulders and pectoralis muscles, you'll be able to walk into the headstand. Now remember, when you're up in that inversion, when you are upside down, you are pressing into the mat with those forearms, which allows that engagement of the pectoralis muscles and shoulder muscles. Lifting slowly, making sure that the hips are over the shoulders and the ankles are over the hips, which are over the shoulders. Now come down slowly and controlled, making sure that your head stays down. allowing the blood to equal out again.